And I hope that this blows your mind just like it did mine when I first learned it. What if these million different realities that carry a million different versions of you have a million different skill sets? Wouldn't that be crazy? What if there were a million different versions of you spread across the million alternate realities? And it just so happens that all you know is this version of you right now with this skill set in this reality that you are living right now. Mind blown. But if all you know is this reality, knowing that there are multiple million different versions of you out there with these million different skill sets, all skill sets that have the ability to solve any problem, challenge, or issue that you have currently in this timeline. So here's the aha moment for me. Then what's to stop you from tapping into that version of you in a completely different timeline that has the skill, downloading it, and then reaping the benefit of a knowledge borrowed to help you solve any problem, challenge, or issue that you currently have today? The Madness Method Podcast, episode 56. Life is just straight up crazy. Now there's a guy to help you navigate through all of it. Welcome to the Madness Method. Hey everybody, it's Juan de Dios Garcia, and this is the Madness Method. Now, I recently stumbled across a movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend it. It's actually one of the few Oscar-winning movies that I actually like and probably will ever see. But it stars an amazing cast. It's got Michelle Yeoh, Jonathan Kwan, otherwise known as Data from the Goonies. It's got Master Oogway's Randall Duck Kim and Jamie Lee Curtis post True Lies. And so the movie is a cross between an old school Jackie Chan kung fu flick and Marvel's Doctor Strange. In other words, it's right up my alley. So the concept of the movie touches on the multiverse, an infinite universe of alternate realities all happening at the same exact time. Hence the name, Everything Everywhere All at Once. But what got me had to do with the one key component that was a crucial part, yet not related to the moral of the story. You see, the moral of the story was that we can always do better. We can choose better no matter where we are. We can choose love, positivity, laughter over pain, sorrow, and suffering, and so on. And that's a great moral and one that I'm sure every single parent would love to teach their kids. But the part that I took away has more to do with a different concept altogether. Now, before I actually get into that, I want to start with the concept of the multiverse. Now, the multiverse is not new at all. Yeah, maybe most recently with Doctor Strange in the multiverse, but before that, it was Spider-Man in the multiverse, and before that, it was probably Amazing Stories, if you remember that, and better yet, the Twilight Zone. But to me, one of the coolest movies to ever teach us this concept of the multiverse and timelines is Back to the Future. Now, I'm sure I'll be corrected by the Back to the Future scholars on this one, but to me, it explained the multiverse quite clearly. So here's my pitch on why. Michael J. Fox, aka known as Marty McFly, was a young kid who got mixed up with this crazy scientist doctor named Doc. Pretty ingenious name if you ask me. And Doc is working on this invention of time travel. And in the process, he gets shot by some assassins. So Marty does the only thing that a teen can do at that time: jump in the DeLorean, drive 88 miles per hour, and go back in time so he can save his best friend in the past because his future depends on it. Literally saving his life. Now, I know it already sounds crazy, but the concept that came out of it was one that scientists and theorists have been contemplating for decades. The concept of time travel, and you don't mess with the time-space continuum. Got it? All right. When Marty McFly went back in time to help out Doc, past Doc told him just do one thing. No matter what, don't do anything to mess up the timeline. Now, that meant don't touch anything, don't talk to anyone, don't even look in anybody's direction. Pretty much blend in, do nothing until Doc can fix everything and get back, and consequently go to a future where Doc lives. Now, if you've seen the movie, then you already know Marty doesn't do that. He messes everything up, even to the point where if left unfixed, he probably could have been his own dad. I know, that's sick and that's crazy. But throughout the movie, Marty makes things better. And when he makes it Back to the Future, see what I did there? I said the movie in the title, just like every single 80s movie back then, everything is not only back to normal, it's better, or at least for him. So what does that teach us? Well, it teaches us this, that the concept of alternate realities, aka multiple realities, aka the multiverse, Back to the Future, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, the Time Traveler's Wife, etc. It all teaches us that the timeline, no matter what we do, is the timeline. It's the only thing that is real in this world, the real thing that time will occur. Whether it be forward or backward, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen. So let's give you a graphic. If you draw a line on a piece of paper, put an arrow at the end of the line and an X near the beginning, this represents your current timeline, your life. Every event, every happening happens on this timeline. Older movies like Back to the Future would reference how traveling back in time could alter the timeline and therefore alter your future. That would be like me drawing an X somewhere on your timeline and drawing a line branching off to create a new timeline. That makes sense, right? So this is especially enticing because the very concept allows the brain to go back in time and change the things that we want to change. That could be a decision that we regret or a chance not taken. Going back in time would undo all of that, to take that chance or choose differently. Now, wouldn't that be awesome? And for years, people played with that idea. The whole idea of working with your inner child is based on this very concept that you can go back in time and heal the thing that caused those beliefs or those thoughts that one would want to change. But if we go back to the drawing and I had you draw another line parallel to the first one, then that new line would represent an alternate reality, a reality happening at the same time as your original reality. Now draw 100 more. Imagine for a moment that there are an infinite number of realities, all happening at the same time, each one with a different version of you on the inside. That's what the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once focuses on. Exactly that. Crazy, right? Now, and yet as crazy as the concept is, and the million lessons that we can pull from that alone, it still isn't a part of our lesson today. So here it is. And I hope that this blows your mind just like it did mine when I first learned it. What if these million different realities that carry a million different versions of you have a million different skill sets? Wouldn't that be crazy? And what if there is a version of you that is a math genius, a version that is a black belt martial artist, a version that is a movie star, a scientist, an entrepreneur, a dream maker, a thief, a badass killer? What if there were a million different versions of you spread across the million alternate realities? And it just so happens that all you know is this version of you right now with this skill set in this reality that you are living right now. Mind blown. Now, if you're like me, then understanding this means you might think that there is a better version of you out there. That alternate version of you has a better life, made better choices, has a better situation, all of it. It also means that there's a version out there that has a worse life, made worse choices, and has a worse situation. But if all you know is this reality, knowing that there are multiple million different versions of you out there with these million different skill sets, all skill sets that have the ability to solve any problem, challenge, or issue that you have currently in this timeline. So here's the aha moment for me. Then what's to stop you from tapping into that version of you in a completely different timeline that has the skill, downloading it, and then reaping the benefit of a knowledge borrowed to help you solve any problem, challenge, or issue that you currently have today? This is the concept of this crazy movie. This is what changed my entire perception. But as crazy as that is, it begs for us to learn the lesson of today, the lesson of the multiverse that contains everything we need to know. So let's go down this rabbit hole. Did you ever play a game, Genie in a Bottle? Now, I remember when I was a kid, I used to play this game all the time. We'd ask this puzzling question about a genie in the bottle. And the question was, if you had a genie in the bottle that granted you 3 wishes, what wishes would you grant? Now, I think it was really meant as a litmus test in ways, almost a trick. But if you were like most kids, then you'd probably wish for the wildest thing that you could possibly think of at that time. Some tried to beat the system and wish for an unlimited amount of wishes on their first wish. And after that, you would go crazy and then dream up all of these different things, right? But maybe you wished for a beautiful home. Maybe you wished for an extravagant car. Maybe you wished for a lifetime supply of your favorite candy, or maybe you just wished for peace on earth. In other words, there was no limit other than to what you could possibly think of your brain to wish for. When our brains are free of the preconditioned thoughts and beliefs, we can dream big dreams. That's why they call it a dream. In fact, dream is defined as a series of thoughts, images, and sensations occurring in a person's mind during sleep. And then when you're not asleep, it's called daydream. And for some reason, in that dream, in that imagination, there are no boundaries. There are no limits. And so we can think of the wildest things, like wishing for the grandest things. Why? Because we have an imaginary genie in a bottle. But what if this were true? What if the concept of the multiverse were more than just a sci-fi dream or a Marvel flick? Then that would mean this. In the infinite world of possibility, there is a version of you that has the answer to what you're looking for. All you would need to do is learn how to tap into it. Learn to tap into that version of you with that skill set and ask a simple question. It's that simple. The money problems that you have, there's a version of you that's brilliant with money. The relationship problems that make it hard to love, there's a version of you that loves unconditionally. The self-doubt that you experience every single day, there's a version of you that is super confident. The weakness that you believe you have that stops you from going for what you truly want, there's a version of you that is a fighter and strong and doesn't take any bullshit and gets exactly what they set their mind to. You just need to seek. You just need to ask. But even if you think that this were a far-fetched dream, an illusion, just a sci-fi concept, and that there is no infinite universe of possibility, then I'll lend you my belief for a moment right now. I believe that there is a version of me out there with the answer. In fact, I know there is. I also know that there's a version not in my reality, but that I could have access to him. All I have to do is stop, slow down, focus with the right question in my mind and right thought in my brain, and ask. And more often than not, the answer has come to me. Whether or not I believe it's because of an alternate me doesn't matter. What does matter is that I found the answer and that I can create the difference I want to create in me today, right now. And if I can do that, then it also means this. I already have the answer within me now. I already know what to do. I already know how to overcome it. I already have the answer. Maybe it's me tapping into my subconscious or my superconscious, the part of me that knows more, understands more, and sees more than my conscious brain actually does. I mean, scientists already believe that we only use a small amount of our brains right now. I think it's like 10%. Actually, that's a myth. I lie. I know we use all of our brain. But the concept was one formulated by a psychologist and author named William James, who argued that humans only use a part of their mental resources, meaning that we have so much more capable within us, but only go so few far lengths to see just how much. I found myself trying to be like Brad Pitt's character in the movie The Lost City after he got his brain blown out. He said, I'll just use a different 10% of my brain. Why can't I do the same, where I find a different avenue than the normal ones I always take? How come that version of me can't already be inside of me? It's like a road. The more that you travel a path, the more that it gets carved into the earth. And so the more you and I do the same things over and over again and find ourselves going the same ways, eventually complaining about getting stuck in those ways. If we take a new path, a new form starts to take shape. And maybe it's a better road, a smarter road, a road that gets us to where we want to go faster. Maybe it's a road that's alleviated with busy traffic or heavy obstacles, who knows? But we have the ability to try. And that all I have to do is find a new path, a new way. How? Well, Tony Robbins says, ask a different question, get a different answer. And just like that, you may be able to access it. And if I do that, then there isn't anything that could stop me from achieving whatever I want. Nothing limiting me from achieving my dreams. Just the question that I have yet to ask and the answer awaiting it. And upon hearing this, you might be saying, so what, Juan? Am I just to believe that the thing is stopping me from having the life that I want, the love I want, the happiness I want, the dream I want is me? And my simple answer would be yes. The thoughts, the beliefs, the actions, all part of the road that we typically take, creating the life that we have. Now, most people, when I say this to them, cite the external as a reason why something doesn't occur. I can't because of politics, religion, they never gave me a chance, or I'm the wrong color. I don't have what I have because of ... Insert external reason here. And the real answer is yes. That's one reason. A reason as being defined as the cause or justification as to why the event occurred the way that it did. But the professional in me knows that there is no reason outside of ourselves, that the external ultimately has no dominion over the internal, which means that the internal allowed the external to happen. Savvy? So the bigger question isn't what the external reason was, but rather what the internal reason is. Why did you stop yourself? Why did you choose to believe you don't deserve the life, the love, the happiness, the dream? Why do you choose to think the way you do that causes the result that you have? Why do you do what you do? Why sabotage, quit, put others before you, procrastinate, become the victim? Why? And if that's true, then why have I created this? Why haven't I received the life, the love, the happiness, the dream? And that's a very good question, isn't it? And the answer is, yeah, why? Why haven't you? Honestly, it's because there's a little bit more complicated things than just what we're talking about right now. What's complicated is this brain of ours, the brain that stops us, because there isn't anything else that can stop us at all except for the brain. This is the hard part that most clients don't want to hear. This question, and they often reject it because it's hard to hear that we have a part in everything that happens. That's the complicated part to this thought process. In my opinion, the true lesson that many of us really need to learn and hopefully learn within this lifetime. You have the answer. You just have to learn to ask the right question and then sit down long enough to hear it. Yes, many things can get in our way, most notably ourselves. I've covered topics of the baggage that we carry and what those stoppers could be in earlier episodes, but let me give you the synopsis here. We have a set of baggage that we carry with us that was not packed by us, which means that you carry thoughts, beliefs, habits, ideas, all that are not yours. Think about it like Romeo and Juliet. Two people years removed from the family feud that began a millennia ago. They don't know why their families fight, they just know that they do. Yet they also know that they love each other. You carry things with you that can't be explained with logic, just because that's what you do. Thoughts, beliefs, ideas that are there given to you from those before you. And then there are the ones that you created from your very own experiences. These are your stoppers. These are the things that sabotage us, help us procrastinate, put others first, quit, or become a victim. But the concept of the multiverse says this: if this current version of you that has the stoppers that stops them from getting what you want, then there's a version of you out there in the multiverse that doesn't. And because there's a version of you out there that doesn't, all you have to do is tap into that version, download the answer into your brain now, and overcome whatever is stopping you. Light bulb. What a concept. When I thought of this, I immediately thought of Neo from The Matrix, the way he was downloaded Kung Fu in the matter of seconds. I know Kung Fu. Anything could be possible, no limitation whatsoever. That means that there's a version of me out there that doesn't procrastinate. There's a version of me out there that accomplishes whatever I want, That means there's a version that accepts loves fully and has amazing relationships with everyone. There's a version that is strong and uses life's mishaps and challenges to power themselves into success and not become a victim. That there's a version that is lucky, that is successful, smart, has money, educated, strong mentally and physically. You name it, they're out there. And then all I have to do is ask the question, sit still and listen to get the answer. Does that sound too easy? And that's because it isn't. I wasn't born yesterday. Getting to this understanding does require a lot of work. You have to learn a few things, like asking the right question. If I were to ask you what questions you ask when you do something that you dislike, something that doesn't match with your end desire, like lose weight, but you can't seem to eat the right foods or exercise. When you eat the wrong foods or don't do an exercise, the question typically is, why can't I lose weight? Or why can't I eat better or work out consistently? Or worse yet, the acceptance of the very thing that you don't want by saying, this is just me, and there's nothing that I can do about it. Did it ever occur to you that maybe you're not asking the right question? Maybe you could ask something better to get a better answer. Who knows? Maybe you might make a change, and change, as we all know, is scary. Even good change. Why? Because it's unknown. My brain can handle the known bad result of eating the wrong foods. I know what I'll feel like. What my brain can't handle is the unknown of being healthy in this case, because it's been so long since I've been there. Do you get it? But the next time that happens, maybe ask, what foods do I need to eat to feel better? What exercise give individuals more energy? What habits are good to start health journeys with? What are easy workouts to do for inactive individuals? Getting the answers to these questions will probably give you a plethora of information to start with. You have to learn a few things, like sitting still long enough to hear the answer. So many times I get bombarded with my thoughts that if I get the best of them, they get me. I jump around from task to task and never really get anything ever completed. When I have a moment to myself and I learn to just be still, something great happens to me. I can hear. It's clear. One voice, one solution, one thing, and then one thing happens. So much gets done for me. Chances are the reason you don't accomplish what you want or have what you don't have is because you don't sit long enough to hear the answers or listen to the answers. I think your life would appreciate 5 minutes where you can meditate or think or focus on the things that you really want before just letting all of it get the better of you, your day get the better of you. As an answer, when I have a moment where I get to focus on just one thing, so much can be felt because all of the awareness and focus is there, nothing distracting it. It's easy to see the ripples when the water is still. But if the water is moving, it all becomes a blur. So many things can come to the person that understands how to be still. You have to learn a few things, listening to your body. My wife always says to me, the body knows. And you know what? She's really right. There's a reason why there's a saying, listen to your gut. Because more often than not, your gut has the right answer. Has that ever happened to you? Where you just do something or make a decision because it made sense in your head, and then it falls through and you say to yourself, I knew it wasn't going to happen. I had this gut feeling. That's because you didn't listen to your body. When you're in your body, you learn to listen to it because it always has the right answer, pending the fact that you take care of it well. But even then, it will tell you the right things. This is why you get a feeling for people when you first meet them, or a feeling in your body when you enter into an environment. I remember walking into a home during an open house. The realtor saw us as we were just walking a few steps in, and my wife said, ew, I don't like it here. And I had some bad vibes too, so we just did a quick U-turn, walked around, headed out. Quickest viewing of a home I ever saw. Why? Because our bodies said no. Oftentimes it can't be explained, but that's just the beauty of learning to listen to ourselves. The person that listens to their body will get the answers that they need. Finally, you have to learn a few things like doing the work. One of my biggest pet peeves was when society was throwing around the word work-life balance. The concept of having a balance between life at home and life at work. It insinuated that many people that work longer hours than most were foregoing their own health, and the balance would be a 50-50 relationship, and that should be the answer. And yes, that sounds great, but it really irked me because people took that and they ran in the opposite direction from work. Kids entering the workforce were demanding less work and more life because they wanted a better work-life balance. They were trying to avoid work altogether and forgot the reality that in order for things to get done, there actually has to be work involved. Work is not a bad thing, rather a good thing. If you want what you want, it requires work to get it. If you want more for your life, that requires more work. It's in the title. I want better pay. Then do the better work that pays better. I want a better life. Then do the better work that requires and creates a better life. I want a bigger bank account, let's just say. Then do bigger work that gives you bigger money. I want a quality relationship. Then do quality work that builds quality relationships. It never ends. And maybe the word work is hard for you to sink your teeth into, then change it. Maybe the word is focus or commitment or dedication, energy or love. Even if you wanted to do nothing, it's hard work to do nothing. You ever try to do nothing at home? It's hard. Something always comes up. Before you know it, you're working your ass off just to get things done so that you can hurry up and do nothing before the day ends. Even nothing is hard work. Now, I should mention that this is just one way to access the multiverse of you, to access the many versions of you with the many answers to the many questions that you ask. There are certainly more ways to, access it. But what a creative way to think about it, that we take the very concept that is so fictional that it might just be real, even if that reality is in our own minds. Doesn't even matter. It doesn't. What does matter is that you get the answer, that you become better, a better version of yourself and fulfill the desire that we so desperately want and search for. It doesn't matter how you get there, but for the sake of our own dreams, it only matters that we do get there. And a world where more and more humans are achieving their biggest dreams, I would imagine would be a world that's more caring, a more fulfilled world, a more loving world. And a more loving, fulfilled, and caring world is certainly a world where I would truly love to live. And that, my friends, is the method to the madness that is the multiverse that contains everything we need to know. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Hey, thank you for tuning into this episode of The Madness Method. If you truly enjoyed it, tell everybody. Share it, like it, leave a comment. And if you didn't, don't tell anybody. We'll catch you next time.